Let's move on into the worksheet and workbook manipulation. This is another one I think that is very useful. I do more worksheet manipulation than I do workbook manipulation, but you want to move the sheets around and stuff like this. So it looks like we're going to open this file called Worksheet. I'll probably close off a few of my files. Okay, so there's several definitions. You can identify worksheets different ways. This is called the visual sheet name. And so essentially what this means is that what I see on the screen here is the visual sheet names. And so I can do that by saying my sheet 4, that's going to identify this one here. Now, no matter where it is, you see, it's in different positions here. Or I can say worksheets, my worksheet, select. So if I want to say my worksheet 2, then it was going to select number 2 right here. See? So the idea is that you can just type in the name that you physically see, that you know what the names are. So that's one way to identify a sheet. Another way to identify a sheet is called the order created. That means when you create a new sheet, see this says sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. But you notice that it says sheet 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. But if you move these around, you see it doesn't matter because the order that you created them is the order they're going to be in. Let's go through and show you that a little bit more. So let's open up worksheet 1. Or just worksheet, I think. It's important to understand these names. I think these names are very important to get your hands on. Worksheet. Okay, so we have sheet 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Now, if I go to my Visual Basic Editor and look at my worksheet, you see it says 1, 2, 3, 4 this way, see it? If I were to move sheet 3 or sheet 4 in front of 2 like this, so it's got sheet 1, 2, 3, and 4 this way. Let's look at our Visual Basic Editor to see how that changed the order of that. So you see, it didn't change the order here at all, see it? It still recognized them as the first sheet that was created and the order that they were created in. So the idea of that is this is the name that you see on the sheet here, and this is the order that they were created in. Even though I have these in the wrong order, this still shows me in the proper order that they were created in. So if I were to click on this one and call this test 4, like this, then see test 4 is there, even though that was the 4th sheet that was created. So it looks at the order of these created. So sometimes you don't really care where they are. You just want to know the order that they were created in. So this is another method you could use to do that. And that's kind of interesting. The other method is, and we'll go through and test each one. This is called the index number. So this simply says that the index number is, you would identify it as a sheet 1, 2, 3, or 4 this way. And then that actually looks at the sheet name also. So this is the same, kind of the same as the order in a way, but it looks at the order, worksheet 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the last method, I think that was the last method, yeah. So there's just 2 of the same method here. And these commands here is the activate, meaning activate that sheet. This is select that sheet. And activate and select are almost the same. The only difference between activate and select, it still selects it when you activate it. The select allows you to select multiple sheets, multiple worksheets, where the activate does not let you select multiple, it just activates a sheet, one or another. See, here's this little thing called false here. So if I select sheet 2, and then I select sheet 3 and call it false, then that means sheet 2 is still selected. And this is sheet 4 select false. That means sheet 2 is selected, sheet 3 is selected, and sheet 4 is selected. So that's kind of the difference between the activate and the select. Let's go through and play with these a little bit back here. And just to get more familiar with the naming convention structure. Let's go back to beginning here. Here I have a little exercise that simply says, okay, subsheet here, my sheet, So we can call these My Sheet 1, 2, 3, and 4 like this. Then it says Worksheets Activate. So we want to activate Sheet 1, wherever that's located. But Sheet 3, we want to actually select Sheet 3. So this actually does the same thing, correct? Because it selects 1, then it selects 3. And then it's going to rename Sheet 1 to .name to this new name. And then it's going to take Sheet 2 and move it after Sheet 3. So we're going to we can watch all this happen. So we're going to rename our sheets 1 through 4, and then we will go through and cut this code out and then just run it and watch it. Watch each command work one at a time. So see, it says 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Looks like we moved this around too to show you how that works. Okay, so we're going to come back to worksheet 1, call this My Sheet 1. This one's going to be My Sheet 4. This is going to be My Sheet 2. And this is going to be My Sheet 3. And back to Visual Basic, go to our Sheets, add a module, and paste that code. Okay, so I wanted to name these sheets because I wanted you to see the differences between the names, that you see that this was the 4th sheet that was created, yet it's actually in the 2nd position. So if you're going to identify the names this way, then you can manipulate them. So let's just take this and run this. So this is going to activate. So now we're going to go to Sheet 1. So it selects Sheet 1, or activates Sheet 1, right? Now it's going to go to select Sheet 2. So it actually selected Sheet 3, sorry. So it actually selected Sheet 3. And this one's going to rename Sheet 1 to New Name. And renamed it to New Names. Yeah. This one's going to move Sheet 2, if you watch them, after Sheet 3. So that should move, that should be at the end now. And it did, it moved to the end. This is going to copy Sheet 4, wherever it is, okay, after Sheet 3, after Sheet 4. Well, where's Sheet 4? Well, Sheet 4 is at the end. That's actually on the 2nd position. So it actually created it right there, see? And then it says Sheet 4, we want to select that when we're done, and we select it like that. And so that's the idea. So you can go back and actually show you this multiple selection capability. So if I take this one here and select Sheet 4 and come down here and paste it a couple of times and put the word false out here, if I want to select Sheet 4 and the next one, which is Sheet 3 with a parenthesis 2, like this, and then I want to select Sheet 3. So this is, so I'll click here, press my F8. Actually, I didn't want to do that, did I? So what I'll do is I'll just comment these out here. We're going to jump right down to there. Okay, so this is going to select Sheet 4, which it is right now. Then the false says select that one and Sheet 4. This is going to select, oh, I spelled that wrong. Sheet 3. Right, so you're going to run that. And it selected all 3 of them. See, so that's the difference between the select and the activate, which is it actually highlights all 3 of them. And that way, if I come up here now and type something on this sheet, then it's going to actually put that text on all 3 sheets. That's a typical Excel feature. If you know the names of the sheets, then use this method to identify the sheets, if you know the name. If you don't know the names, you can actually go through and do it this way and just simply say, well, wherever the position is, I want to take Sheet 1, wherever that is, and activate it, and then go to Sheet 3 and activate it. Now these names are all different. See it? This new name and all this is all different. So we don't know the names because we renamed several of them. And so the program doesn't know what these names are, so it just knows the positions of these names. So let's go through and look at that. All right, so we're going to go here, and I'm going to say, okay, now I'm looking at the position of these names. So there's sheet 1, there's sheet 3. And then sheet 2, see, sheet 1 is actually, the name is new name, but I don't know the name of it, so I just know that it's the first sheet in the list. So if I press the F8, I can say, okay, let's go to sheet 1 activate. So it is active, it's already activated, so it will go there. Then it says select sheet 3. That's on the 3rd position, but it's in the 4th, physically in the 4th. This is going to rename sheet 1 to new name, which we already is. So it's just going to give it the same name, right? And this is going to move sheet 2, which is actually my sheet 2, after sheet 3, which is actually sheet 3. So it's going to be in between sheet 3 and sheet 2, as you can see down there. And it moved it there. Right? It's going to copy after sheet 4, sheet 3 after sheet 4. So we're sheet 3, that's right there. It's going to copy that after sheet 4, which would actually be there. So there's what sheet 4 right here. So it copied it after that, wherever that was physically at, it actually copied it. So interesting. Understanding what method you want to use to manipulate your sheets is probably an important element of this. And then third method would be the index number. So you're just simply putting a number in here for the position of the thing. It's just a different style you can use to do that. Okay. So that's those are the 3 methods that you can use to identify the sheets. And we're doing the same kind of thing here, as you can see. So we talked about activate, we talked about select, and the difference between those and the false statement in there. So we went through that a little bit. This one here is select 2 worksheets. This is using the false to select 2 worksheets. And we sort of did that a second ago, all right? The name property. We talked about this a little while ago too. And the fact is that you can name a sheet, give it a specific name. And then active sheet, this identifies where is the active sheet. This is the active sheet name, and then it actually puts the sheet name in there. Add default worksheet, this is as the worksheet before the selected active sheet. Okay, so these are just several commands we need. We'll go through some little exercise and run through these. You can add sheets before or after the selected sheet. And this one here is add sheet after a certain sheet. And this one here is add before sheet 2. So you're just kind of going through these different commands. So we're up at this worksheet again. It looks like you can actually put in the sheet name and actually create your own names in here too. So we'll go through and do some of these. Looks like you can delete a certain sheet, extract a certain name, rename a worksheet. So yeah, we've gone through several of these. Okay, let's go through and just do some things. Let's go through and close out that file. So we have a nice clean file, or if anything, you can just create a new blank one, okay, if you want. So let's just create a new blank file. And we have sheet 1, we want to create sheet 2, sheet 3, and sheet 4. So what we want to do is let's go through to create a little exercise to kind of set up the sheet for us, rename the sheets for us, and kind of put them in the right order. So what we want to do is we're just going to write some code to say I want to give these names a specific naming convention. We don't want to call it sheet 1. Maybe we'll call it project 1, project 2, project 3. And so we're just going to write some code to rename those sheets to set everything up properly for us. Okay, so let's go through Visual Basic. And we're going to come down to our worksheet. Book 2, oh, it is book 2. This is book 3. So there's book 3. We're going to add a module to book 3. And we're going to simply set up some code here. We're going to simply say, sub, and we're going to say name sheets. So we're going to go through and we're going to say, use one of our commands. Now, if you know the names are worksheet, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, then you can use that. But if you don't know that, then you can use the physical position called sheet 1. So let's write these out. Make it sheet. We have to look at it here. And then double quote name. So there's one method. The other method was work sheets. And name was the second method, right? And I'm going to comment these on. I'm just going to write these up here so you have them. We can use them and change them if we need to. It's going to be called sheet 1. This or so dot select. So we have something that's in there. Dot select. And this is going to be dot select. And then the third method would be the word worksheets with a number in it. So this is the index number, and it would be the word worksheets with a number, a position number in it. So this would be worksheets. Those are the different styles. And we can go through and just maybe we should just select them using the different styles first, and then we'll go through and we'll write some code to rename them all, okay? Let's just use some selection techniques first. So if I use sheet with double quote and put in here sheet 3, then I said dot select. So that would select sheet 3, correct? Other method we could use is the worksheets name, select. I'm just going to copy and paste my things here. So this is going to be sheet 1. That's the name of it, called sheet 1, correct? That's another method. So it's going to, you can use either this method to identify it. You can also look at it from the position perspective. That would be the position this way. If I said, I want to select sheet 4, then that will select it that way. And it makes no difference which one you use, but we want to show you that just kind of practices a little bit. And that's going to say I want to select worksheet 1. So let's just run through that and see how that works, just so you can get the naming system down. Now, which one you use, it doesn't matter. Whichever one seems to be the right choice for you. So we're doing something here. Oh, it's sheets. It's sheets, not sheet. So it's sheets. So that's going to select 3. And it selected 3, as you can see. Now this one's going to use the worksheets command to select sheet 1. And it did. This one's going to use the sheet, the physical name or the position name, just do the position of 4, which it did. This one's actually going to select the order number 1, which is going to go back to sheet 1, I think. And it did. So that's, it gets a little complicated if you don't understand the names. You see, if you're just using a name and not understanding why you're using that name, that's what I've always used. It may be the wrong style of name you're using. So you need to try to think about using the one that's going to work the best for you. And either while all of them are valid. Okay. So now we're going to write some code to actually go through and rename those sheets using any one of those methods. So you can use whichever one you want. I'll just choose this one maybe. You can simply say sheet 1, and I want to rename that, so I'll call that name. I think we press equals to, and then you specify what the name is. So I'll call this my sheet. How about my sheet A? My sheet A. And then again, you can use this command, or you can switch it out if you want and try a different command. Maybe I'll use this command here called sheets. And call it sheet 2. And I can rename that one to sheet B. So you can go back and use the same method, and usually you would use the same method for these. You wouldn't be switching them back and forth, but I'm just doing this for testing purposes. So I'm just going to do the rest of them here using the same strategy. It's going to be sheet 3. So this is a command that what you're going to do is you're going to actually use this to kind of just set up your spreadsheet. So you have a certain standard you want to follow, and whenever you start these new things up, I mentioned project a minute ago, so we could change these names, project 1, project 2, project A, B, C, or you can sit to my sheets. But the idea, say you want to set up this whole thing, I'm going to change them to project because that makes more sense. There's project A, so whenever you run this sheet, you want to actually go through and put in and set up this sheet with all these project names. That should just go through and rename these sheets to the new naming convention, okay? And so I'll just walk through that and the whole thing again. So here is my F8. So here's my sheets. It's going to select sheet 1, which you did. Sheet 3, and then it's going to sheet 1. It's going to sheet 4, which is the 4th position, okay? And then it's going to select the 1st position again, it did. Now it's going to rename the worksheet 1 to project A, which it did. It's going to rename sheet 2 to project B, and then it's going to rename sheet 3 to project C, and project D will drop down. So that's kind of the idea behind it. So you may want to set up your sheet, your spreadsheet a certain way, and so you create new sheets if you needed to. Say we want to add another code in here. So if I add a 5th sheet, now if I add a 5th sheet after B, for example, it will be the physical position of 5. See, it would be sheet 5, but it would be after project B. So I'm going to take all these and comment these out. I've already got that already set up, right? And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to identify project B over here first, so it won't physically be there. I'm going to identify project B and add a new sheet after project B. That's what I'm going to do. So let's go back and look at the code to do that. And that way, this is what I normally do. And if I make a mistake, I'll definitely go back and look at the code. Here's my activates. Here's my sheets, my name properties. Here's my add default sheet. So this simply says Worksheets Add will simply add a new sheet. This will add a sheet, I think, to the end of it, to the end of the number 5. See it? But if you want to add it after a specific sheet, then you can say Worksheets Add after a specific sheet. So it would actually show you that, but it would actually come out as number 5. I'll select this. This is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to put that right here. It says Worksheets Add after Worksheet B. So this would be project B, quote, and close. So that's what I'm looking for. So I want to add a new sheet after B. Now, if I just say Worksheets Add, I'm assuming it's going to put it at the end of the group. But I'm going to put that just for fun. Worksheets.add. And again, I'm assuming it's going to add it at the end of the group. What if I'm right here? I kind of forgot this one little point. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so it's going to add it after B. So we should see a new sheet appear after B. And we did, right? Now, if I just say add a sheet, the question is, will it put the sheet after 5, sheet 5, or will it put it after project D? Does it use the current selected sheet to add it, or does it add it to the end of the list? And I forgot that little subtle issue, by the way, so looks like it put it after the selected sheet. So you could go either way with that, right? It could have either put it at the end of the group, into the whole list that you see in front of you, or it does add it after the active sheet. So either way you go. So this is a setup, maybe to set up your sheets a certain way and to manipulate them from that point on. All right, so let's see what else we have in here. This one here is a delete a worksheet. So if we want to delete a worksheet, we can identify the worksheet one way or another, one of the ways, and put .delete. Pretty similar to what we've done with cells and stuff. Extract a worksheet. This is going to simply say active sheet, name, and it's going to extract the information out of there. Interesting. This is value here. This one here is going to rename the sheet where we talked about the rename. We didn't do the delete. We're going to do that still. And down here is a looping feature that actually goes through and loops through each worksheet, and it uses this thing called worksheet count. The worksheets count command tells me how many worksheets are actually physically there. And then it's going to go through and search through those one at a time, and then you can do stuff to it. So we can actually rename the sheet. Say we don't know what the names are, but we want to rename all the sheets to a new naming convention. But I don't know what's there, see? So I'm going to have to cut this code out and see if I can work through all of the sheets and rename them all. So here we can say, okay, so here it says, go to X is the counter, so it's going to say it's going to multiple times. I don't know how many times I'm going to count because it depends what this number says. And we can determine what that number is by saying message MSG box, and we can say worksheets count. And just so we can see what it's given us here. First, currently I have about 6 here, see it? But we're going to see what this command actually gives us. I'm assuming it's 6. If you delete one of these, then it's going to be 5, of course, right? And what's interesting, what if I deleted this one here? Let's do that. If I deleted this one here, that means it's going to still show 6 here, and that 2 will be gone. In this case, we're going to say take position 1, wherever that is, okay? We're going to select it, and then it says whatever the active sheet is, we want to rename it. We want to name that active sheet to whatever the current name is, okay? And we're going to put the word report behind it. And I want to loop through that however many worksheets there are. Or I can go through and rename, or you might say the word backup or something like that. So I'm going to go through this and to see what this does. So we're going to find out what this actually gives us. It gave us the number 6 because there's 6 physical worksheets out there. Now we're going to go through and select the first one on the list, which happens to be Project A. Now it's going to rename Project A and put the word report behind it. There it is, Project A report. Then it's going to go next, and then it's going to, that one's going to be report. Now this is sheet 6 report, sheet 5 report, sheet C report, and sheet D report, and then it drops out. So that's a thing we can do there. We didn't delete a sheet yet. So how about if we say, well, we're getting a lot of stuff out there now. I'm not worried about deleting. I think you can select it or delete it. It's pretty straightforward, I think. This one here says select. This is going to select multiple sheets, it looks like. And then it's going to count them, but then it's going to select multiple sheets from the second sheet to the end, it looks like. It's not going to delete the first one. It's going to select the first one, select the second one to the end. And it's going to highlight them all. Getting up to another little spot. There's a lot of redundancy here to some degree. Just different styles of code that has some interesting twists to it. I was trying to show you lots of variations here. This is your add after. Went to that a little bit. There's the count feature there, so we use the word sheets count instead of worksheets count. So there's a couple of variations of that count thing you can use. So this moving, we kind of did some moving a little bit, so we're okay with that. What I want to get down to is this is the paste method. And we talked about this, the active cell, select, copy, and then worksheets, sheet 2, select, and then we're paste it. See, so we kind of dealt with this a little bit in the previous day because we did use this active sheet paste here. But what we're saying is this is actual sheet command. That's identifying the sheet and paste it wherever the sheet is. You see, wherever your cell is. That's where it kind of crosses over a little bit. I want to get down a little bit further down here. I put a lot of examples here because some people that really need to use this need lots of variations. If somebody who really is interested in this can go through all of these and kind of learn a lot about these things. Here's your paste special. We've already talked about that before. Now this is where I want to get to here is the hiding feature. So this will allow us to hide sheets and unhide sheets. There's a third method. There's a hide sheet and an unhide sheet. There's a third method down here called very hidden. I thought this is rather interesting, is you can't unhide it, basically, when it's very hidden. And so we'll run through a couple of these, and there's some protection down here too. Let's run through a couple of these hiding sheets. Let's start with a brand new worksheet file, and that way the names are a little cleaner to work with. And we'll go through and hide some of these sheets, and we'll unhide them using code, and then we'll do a hide very hidden. So I'm going to close off my, where's my worksheets? I don't have worksheets up here at all. So I'll close it off, close several of these off, keep that code. These, too many files open. And I'll open up, file open, what I'll call worksheets. Worksheet. And that gives me my sheet 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we want to do is we want to hide some of these sheets and then use the code to unhide. So we're going to go to our worksheet, we're going to add a module, and we're going to create some code to hide sheet 2, for example. So we're going to simply say sub, hide it. Okay, and then we're simply going to say, use one of your commands. I can say sheet 1, I'll use that method, dot, we have to say the word hide. think we have to say select. You already forgot the format for it. Let's go back and look. Sheet 1 like this. You have to say visible, then you specify the option for that visibility. And then the Excel sheet hidden, Excel sheet visible. So we say dot visible, and then parameter is Excel, control spacebar. This would be, got the command now. Is it hidden? It is sheet hidden. So it's sheet, control spacebar, and there's my sheet hidden command. There's my visibility command, and there's my very hidden command. So we'll first do our sheet hidden, and that's all I want to do is just run that to hide that sheet. Go ahead and put equal here. It's interesting because some of the other commands we used did not put an equal sign there. You didn't have to put an equal for the parameter. But this one looks like you do. All right, so that's all that was. Okay, so we're going to hide sheet 2, or sheet 1 in this case, and sheet 1's hidden. So I can come back down here and right-click on this and say unhide and bring sheet 1 back, right? Or I could actually write some code to bring it back. So in this case, I can go ahead and hide sheet 1. Then I can come down here and say sheet 1. So I can put 1 here, and then I can change the parameter from not sheet hidden, make it sheet visible, right? Get all these commands. So it's sheet visible. So I can hide it, and then I can make it visible. So there's going to hide it. I can run another command, make it visible. Okay. Now another command here is this thing called very hidden. Sheet, E-R-Y, very hidden. And let's go ahead and run this. So it takes sheet 1 and it hides it very hidden like that. Now the difference is when I right-click on this, I can't unhide it. See it? So if you want to hide something where people can't find it, then they can actually, you can make it very hidden. So if you're writing some code to do some backups or something of some sheets, then you can actually make it very hidden and you can't unhide it. The only way you can unhide it is, yeah, you guessed it, by using code. So if I ran my code here, I can actually unhide it by running code. So it requires a VB code to unhide it. Okay? Are we doing okay with all this so far?
So should I check all my Excel sheets to make sure there aren't any hidden tabs?
Yeah, you could. You could. There could be. Yeah, you don't know if there's something somebody's doing behind the scenes here. So what I want to do now is just create a little project. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to make a copy of sheet 1. Okay. I want to rename that copy to called backup. All right. And then I want to make it very hidden so that people don't even realize that we're backing it up. So when somebody comes to this sheet and you know that if they mess up or something like that, then you know that you can actually go through and extract the sheets. You see what I'm saying? You can go through and go back to the backup if you have to. If somebody really screws it up, then you have that extra precaution here as the programmer to know that there is a backup. It's all not lost. We can actually go to the backup to see it. But they don't know that there's a backup being created. Okay, so we're going to take sheet 1, we're going to back it up, and we're going to rename it to the word backup. And then we're going to make it very hidden so that they don't even know that the backup is even there. Okay? So how are we going to do that? So we can say, how do we do it? Any thoughts? I'll call this sub back up. Okay. And we're going to first make a copy of it, correct? Do you remember how to make a copy? I'm letting you think it out a little bit. Okay. How do we make a copy? Sheet 1 dot, did we just say dot copy? Or dot activate? Or I put copy right here. See, there's a copy there. So maybe we can just say sheet 1 copy, and you can specify if you want to put it after a certain spot or something like that. So that's going to copy it, correct? I'm not going to spend any time in the workbook section. There's a couple other things here, add a password, that kind of stuff. So look at that. Here's the workbook section. I'm not spending time in that, but it's very redundant in terms of the things. Activate the active workbook. You specify the file name, and you say, this is the one I want to activate. So it opens up that particular file. You can copy a document. Looks like you can copy information. You can save it. And I don't really do a whole lot of workbook manipulation. It looks like you can rename it too, it looks like. So it looks like you can protect it, protect the workbook. So you can do that and unprotect it, basically. Typical features of workbook manipulation. Here's close all workbooks. Little code to actually close up all the workbooks that are open.